sides, right? Less spammy, more kind of initiation. But
right now I'm like a bit confused on how to like, because I remember like when you told me like try and play the Sigma a bit more aggressive, don't play the safe road on the payload. I tried to be a bit more aggressive, but
can't
right now
with Zarya.
Like right now I have a bit of a problem with like deciding what is aggressive and what is stupid.
Because I'm saying a Zarya or a Sigma? Are you playing Zarya or Sigma?
As Sigma, like when we play Sigma Ball, I'm sometimes not sure if what I'm doing is actually aggressive or what I'm doing is just plain up stupid.
Okay, so I mean, this will be a thing to look out for sure, but basically aggressive just means not playing in the same spot, like on the payload or on the point, or just the same spot. Do you see what I mean? That's all that it means. Aggressive means pushing up a bit, but also having kind of like a route to be able to get back to your team quickly, like the main group of your team. But like the point is they're going to come with you, so it is really dependent on the map, right? On some maps, like it might be really confusing what aggressive means. Like could be, miles away. It could be like across like this bridge that takes you all around to like a flank kind of angle, but on some maps it might just be like right next to the payload or something. You see what I mean? It's very, very map dependent, which is probably why it gets a bit confusing. But do you have like a specific example?
Not sure. I think I had one in mind, but I forgot which one.
Because the problem is if I'm doing like coaching and I'm saying like I'll be aggressive, blah blah blah, it's always like telling you on one specific map. But because there's so many maps on the game, you have to learn to kind of like adapt to each map and kind of figure out yourself. Does that make sense? Unless I literally go through every single map, which I mean, I get if you want that, that's fine, but it'll take ages. Do you see what I mean?
No. Maybe if I remember in the future one clip or something, like I can send you it or something.
What did you guys have in mind today? A replay, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Do you have the replay code? Sorry.
Yeah. So we'll probably end up going over Eichenwalde. It's from the 2nd, so it's a couple of days old. I do believe. Yeah,
that was sent to me, Aston.
Oh, yeah, I sent that to the wrong person.
Oh, you mean from the 1st February? This one?
Yes.
Ah.
The replay codes weren't saved yesterday.
Yeah, got you.
I have no feeling of time anymore. It could be April for my feeling of time.
Oh wait, this is the one where we were all sick as shit, wasn't it?
Wait, was
what?
We were. Was this the one against the people that? Was this against?
This was yesterday's one. No.
Oh yes, it's yeah. We have the 4th today.
Okay. Can you give me some context to this replay, or is it just like standard? Like, were you guys trying out like this comp for the first time with Zarya? Were you like against a team that was better? Was it like a tournament? What's the context?
It was the first time on this map that we played the comp with Zarya. I think it was not the first time we played the comp with Zarya, but on this map. And I think because we have problems on Eichenwalde, so it's actually good to look at it.
Eichenwalde's actually a really tough map to play this comp on, right? Because at the end of the day, what type of comp is this? Right, I've said it before. Okay, so before with the Sigma, it's dive spam hybrid, right? With the Zarya, it's even less spam. As you know, Zarya is a terrible spam character, right? So this comp is literally dive, and playing dive on a map that literally has only one way to go through means you get funneled a lot. It's just difficult, but it is possible. Again, it's just all down to kind of like how you split up the enemy team. That makes sense?
Oh, I remember now which one it was. Yeah, it's this one.
Let me lower the quality slightly because I think it's on like source. That's too high. Right, there you go. Should be a bit better. Okay, so first of all, what's the first thing you do before you leave that Echoes should be doing right now?
Scouting.
Scouting the enemy team comp, right? What's the enemy team comp?
They're playing Rush, Brawl.
Yeah, Brawl, Rush, whatever you want to call it. Yep, same thing, right? Now, what comp wins? Dive that you've got. You guys are now full. This is now full dive, right? As I said, Zarya isn't really a spam character, and the whole point of like the Zen brig was the whole point of the Zen was like spamming with Sigma, but because Zarya isn't a spam character at all, she's basically like dive enabler. Yeah, and she's like a defender. She's pretty much only Brawl, right? She's a bit of dive, but she's pretty much only like mainly brawl. But because you guys aren't playing a brawl type of comp, it's like more you brawl with the three, like with the Brig, Zarya, and Zen. I guess you kind of brawl, but it's more dive based. And the problem is, if the enemy is a full brawl, what wins, dive or brawl?
The brawl.
100%, right? Unless the enemies play badly and split up, right? You guys are going to get destroyed on this. And I know you guys are going to struggle because this map is also a way better for brawl, and it's better for brawl and spam. This map is a bad dive map. First point, anyway. Second point, amazing dive map. When I say map, I mean the point of the map, if that makes sense. This part is an amazing dive map, and the third part is back to brawl again and spam. Do you know what I mean? And this, I mean, second part is spam and dive. Brawl is bad on the second point, but yeah, first point, brawl is like way better than every comp. You can spam as well, and like because you can get like the Pharah. Pharah is really good, like Pharah spam, but yeah, dive is weak. Anyway, you know they have a Sombra, and also knowing they have a Sombra, the playstyle is a bit different. Okay, so when Sombra exists on the enemy team, what are you looking out for from the enemy team? Like, because hold on, wait, it's Chemist and wait, who else is in this call? Sorry,
Evan.
just okay, just you two, the tanks,
Just
right?
Yeah.
Just tanks, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously as a ball Chemist, Sombra is like very scary for you, right? Because if you get hacked, you're pretty much dead. So they're kind of playing a brawl that counters the ball dive. So like they are countering your comp from the start, right? But there is a way to deal with it, Chemist, and that is pretty much always setting up far behind the enemy, like here. So if you do get hacked, you don't die immediately. You can just like fight her, and then as soon as you get unhacked, you can roll in, or like, does that kind of make sense? Right?
Yeah.
If you kind of roll in from main, Sombra is going to be standing here ready. If you kind of roll to the side and flank behind, Sombra has to come looking for you. She's going to waste her own time, and even if she does find you, you should be fine if you're like far away from the enemy like group comp. Okay? But the plan, because you're playing dive, the plan is the same, right? The plan is dive one character, whoever you call out, whoever's split by themselves, basically. Yeah? You can't. What are the characters you can dive on the enemy team?
I mean the BAP, but it's iffy. The tanks, I
It's
guess.
tanks and BAP. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, right, their comp, although their comp is brawl, their comp is anti-dive brawl. So you guys are hard countered already, like hard countered already. So it's tough, but it's still winnable. You can still win hard counters. You just have to like really counterplay them. But yeah, it's impossible to dive their DPS. Their Lucio is possible to dive, but again, as you said, it's like hard, like BAP, right? BAP is a bit easier than Lucio, but it's still difficult. And then it's just their tanks. And obviously, diving their tanks is like, well, you kind of don't really want to dive Orion because then you're in the middle of his face, right? So Zarya is like the number one easiest target to dive on their team, right? And again, if Zarya is with the Rhine, you know, you're diving both of them at once, and that makes it kind of difficult. But obviously, this is why you have characters like Bull, right, to split them up. Okay, so you can split up the Zarya, because obviously when you boop Ryan, he only goes a bit because of Steadfast, but if you boop Zarya, she goes further, you can go in for the kill, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, Sombra is something to definitely look out for, and especially Doomfist as well against Zen, right? This is rough. Yeah, Zen just gets blown up against Doomfist. Brig has to literally stun him as he's flying in, right? So Brig has to have like insane reaction times. You can't even, if he E's in, you can't even like whip him with the like whip as Brig. It doesn't do anything if the E is done correctly, like it's a fast E and not like a staggered E. So yeah, we'll see how this goes, but it's going to be tough. Basically, right? This is another thing I was going to say. What is Tracer's job in this comp? Is it to dive the tanks with you, or is it to do something else?
Harass and distract.
What do you mean by harass?
Like, get the support's attention so they're not healing the tanks when we dive, maybe?
Yeah, that's kind of true. But in my opinion, what it would be... Sorry.
Could she stay with like Zenyatta or something? Because the Doom and the Sombra will probably both at the same time collapse on the support backline.
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is what I was about to say. Basically, in my opinion, in this comp, so what does Tracer do if you're playing this comp mirrored? What does she do before she does the dive? Before the dive's even done?
Pressure the ball.
Pressure out the Tracer and the ball, right? The thing is, there isn't a tracer on the ball in the enemy team, but who is there that is kind of like the dive equivalent? Or not the
Doom
dive equivalent.
Sombra.
Yeah, it's Doom and Sombra. So basically, what Tracer needs to be doing is finding where the Doom and Sombra are. Obviously, it's kind of impossible to find a Sombra, right? And at the end of the day, I wouldn't even like try with that, especially because Sombra hacks Tracer. It's kind of hard as well. But in my opinion, Tracer's job here is to pressure out the Doom, right? If you pressure out the Doom, he'll run away, right? And then the dive won't come out, and Zen will survive. Sombra cannot kill a Zen solo unless she has EMP, but EMP is an instant loss for your team anyway, as it is with most teams. Honestly, I'm going to tell you now, right? If an EMP comes out with a Sombra, just die. Like, simple as that, right? You either just die or you just run back and hide, right? If you can stun her out of EMP or something, great. But yeah, it's just EMP is awful. The point is, right? So Sombra is kind of like, if she goes for this dive or flank on the Zen, if she does it by herself, Zen can't die. Zen's not going to die to a solo Sombra ever. She'll die to a solo Tracer, but Sombra does way less damage, right? And obviously you have Brig there to like armor pack. He's not going to die. So Sombra is not a problem for any of you if she goes solo, right? Other than Bull, who if he gets hacked, he dies. Technically the same with Tracer, but again, a good Tracer, Sombra is not a problem. It's all about looking out for the Sombra and like checking like corners and shooting and scouting to see if you find the Sombra. But again, it's not that important to be honest, right? But the main thing is, Ed here should be definitely forcing out the Doom, right? If you force out the Doom, there's none of that dive. Zen survives, right? Dive is way better. So force out the Doom on the way. But in the meantime, because obviously you guys are the tanks, right? So what are you going to do with your bubbles?
I normally wait
Do you
for
think?
our ball to go in.
Yeah, so
Bubble him,
normally you wait for the ball to dive, and as he dives, you bubble him, right? To get that energy. Yeah, that's fine, right? It's fine to do, but how else can you use your bubbles in this comp?
To save my support when the Doom and Sombra go for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Doom, not the Sombra. Sombra, again, Sombra is not big of a deal at all. She can't solo kill anyone if it's Brig there as well, okay? Because Brig has the stun, whip, heal, and armor pack. Zen will never die against Sombra. It's the Doom. If the Doom flies in, right, you're basically bubbling him when he flies in, okay? Now, there's two stages to this team comp, right? There's the dive of you guys, and there's the dive of the enemy team, right? And you need to be able to kind of like split that up or time it well, right? So either you can go in first, like really early, like Chemist is doing, yeah, and then dive early and go in first. Or Chemist, you can bait out the enemy dive by kind of fake diving in and just going into the back line of the enemy team to like set up, as I said earlier. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And you can either do that by going in through main or going around a flank or waiting until the Doom actually does something. Do you see what I mean? When the Doom does something, Even can turn around, bubble, get the protection, maybe even kill the Doom. If you don't kill the Doom, that's fine. But if the Doom dives in and you bubble the Zen, remember, bubble the Zen, only bubble the Zen, right? If the Doom does dive in and you bubble the Zen, with a Discord, the Doom can die, right? If he doesn't die and he jumps out, he's out of the fight for like a good 7 seconds, right? And when the Doom gets out, technically that's the perfect time for you guys to come in with the dive, right? I know it sounds like, oh, well, you're diving in without a bubble, but it's not that important or necessary, right? The problem your team has, as I said, is whoever you're diving is going to be really hard to kill, okay? Because, again, if it's Ryan, he's got loads of HP, he's got the bubble from Zarya. If it's Zarya, she can bubble herself, Ryan turn around and swing, all of them getting healed. But I do think Baptiste is a great target to dive first, but obviously he has Lamp as well. But this is why if you kind of like slam him in the air as he's getting dived, you can kind of like slam him out of the lamp sometimes. But yeah, it's a tough dive scenario, and any dive will be like extended because you just have the BAP there to stall and to like stagger. Does that make sense? But what's a thing you guys can do in order to force out the BAP lamp and then take a dive after that?
Wait, sorry, say again?
So what is a thing you guys could do in order to force out BAP lamping? So you can then do a dive properly without a lamp.
Get the tracer on him? Maybe?
You could do that. The problem with sending a tracer on him is Tracer's them going in solo, right? And she's just going to get hacked and die. Don't agree with that, right? What's one thing you can do that you could try and do as like almost like a team?
Just go for the pop?
Yeah, pressure him specifically.
So you could try and pressure him specifically, but you have no one to pressure. Who can pressure him specifically? Really, no one, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
only people that have range is like Echo and Zen, and Echo barely has range, maybe with mines, right? And Zen, again, it's really hard for Zen to actually hit the BAP if there's a shield in the way from Reinhardt. Do you see what I mean? So you can't really do that. The point is, or what I would like you guys to try, is to do a fake dive, right? Fake out a dive. Pretend you're doing a dive. So that might mean send one person in and out. So maybe it's Ball, you go in, you slam the BAP and just roll out, and it's just you doing that, right? And so they think, okay, you're going in, but then you kind of like roll out. And the reason I think that's kind of like the problem with that, right, is obviously Zarya can hack you. Sorry, not Zarya. Sombra can hack you. This is the problem with any kind of like dive that you actually do or actually go to kill the BAP, and that's why, by the way, Sombra is holding with the team, because she knows when you guys are coming in, she's just going to hack whoever's dived, and you guys are going to die. So then if you all dive in, what happens is the Doomfist, wherever the Doomfist is, oh, he's doing this one where he like goes over here and slams down, right? If you guys all dive in, the Doomfist will just come and kill your backline. Do you see what I mean? So you have this kind of like choice to do. So the first one, as I said, that you can try is do a fake dive where you pretend to dive in, you start rolling up in the air, and then you kind of like come back or like slam kind of in the middle, maybe on the bridge. So you kind of like pretend you slam, but even that probably won't force out a bat plamp. Or so you either fake out a dive and try and kind of like get back to panic, or the second one is what you do is you split your team and you do a half dive. Or not a half dive. What you do is you dive in with the Ball, with the Tracer, with the Echo, right? Go after the BAP, go after the Zarya, whoever, right? And Zarya, you save your bubble. You don't go in and help with the dive. You just stay back and basically bubble the Doom, right?
Okay.
So it's kind of like a half and half. The Discord can stay on whoever's being dived, or the Discord can come on the Doom. I think that will be your biggest and probably easiest way to kind of perform this, right? To kind of like survive and win against this really difficult team comp. Okay. But obviously, the problem you have there is you're now diving with only 3 people against like 5 people. It's really hard to get a dive. Your dive needs to be like perfect, and you all need to be focusing on the same character, and you need to be pressuring the Sombra simultaneously so she doesn't get hacked. It's a bit of everything. Do you see what I mean? Very difficult, but doable. Okay. And by the way, once the Doom comes in and you kind of bubble your Zen, keep him alive, and then the Doom goes out, you can all go back in and continue helping with the dive. But this is kind of why I think you guys need to try a stalled dive. And again, this is really hard to do. Do you know what I mean by stalled dive?
No.
Mm-mm.
It's kind of when you dive in, but don't use everything. You kind of dive in, maybe use a slam and roll away, and then go back in, and then roll away, and then go back in. Like, it's kind of like you're making the dive last as long as possible and just kind of like stalling the enemies out. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not kind of using all your moves at once, like how dive would normally do. Because, yeah, if you use all your moves at once in normal dive, you just burst someone down, they die instantly. Great. The problem with the enemy team is they have Batplamp to stall you, right? So if you use everything at once, they just Batplamp it. Mission failed. And if you use everything all at once, right, you're only going to be using 3 people's moves all at once, because your other half of your team is currently dying to Doom and has to use moves on that. Does that make sense? So you have to kind of like go in together, but don't waste all your moves. Don't like literally commit all blinks, commit a recall, don't commit slam and shields and grapple. Maybe just like grapple and shields, or maybe just slam and grapple with no shields, and kind of like roll away and then go back in. Kind of, you're like distracting them entirely. Do you see what I mean? This kind of like mixes both things I just said, where you're kind of baiting out the BAP to lamp, but you're not using everything. You're not overcommitting using everything. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the only way I see you winning this type of kind of team comp, because you're at such a hard counter disadvantage. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, shall I see how you guys do this? Let's see how you guys do this. Let's watch it in slow motion. Okay, so that's good so far, right? This is good. Why was that good, what you just did, basically, there?
Can we? What happened? It lagged a bit for me, so I wasn't sure what.
Oh, do you want me to lower the quality?
Nah, I don't know. I think it's Discord.
I did like a really weird curve thing where I looked like I was going in and then just did like basically a 90
Exactly,
degree.
right? That's
what I
good.
meant.
Plays like that are good. It doesn't mean that exact play was good, right? Because I don't think they got baited out. The point is you're trying to get them to kind of like second guess themselves and kind of doubt what you're going to do, right? You're confusing them with your own gameplay. What was the mistake here though between you two?
Yeah, I thought he was going in, so I bubbled him, even though he
This,
wasn't.
yeah, this is exactly what's wrong, right? So the play from Chemist is great, but I don't know if that was intended, Chemist, and that's probably why she bubbled you, because you probably thought, or you probably said, oh, you're going to go in. Or I don't know what you said. Maybe you were right? Maybe this was just a mistake. But
I don't
yeah,
remember.
the idea of like faking yourself going in and going out is great. This is what you need to do like loads of times. This is how you do these fake kind of like half dives, right? Where you kind of like go in but then like back out and you don't ever fully commit something against this team. So this is good. But yeah, the double bubble here, wasting both bubbles immediately, this is what's going to lose you the fight. As soon as Doomfist comes in, which is right now, Zen's now going to die. Let's watch. Okay? We'll watch from Doomfist POV.
I think we didn't know then that they had Doomfist.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Because this was our first push, so I was like, yeah, I can just bubble
Yeah,
to
I
get
get that.
energy up. And
But
we
this
were
is
like,
why it's really, I mean, look. Exactly. I just knew Zen was going to die instantly, and it's exactly what happens, right? It's
Doomfist is such a stupid character, sorry.
I know. Well, yeah, true. But the thing is as well, right? So I do understand that you didn't know they had Doomfist, and that's okay. So at the first fight, I always say, doesn't matter if you lose, as long as you know exactly what their whole team is and what their kind of like game plan is. That's fine. First fight doesn't mean anything. Go into the first fight and just kind of like chill, like whatever, like who cares? Oh, first fight, we're gonna lose it. Who cares? Whatever. Okay, don't actually think that, but first fight doesn't mean anything. Okay. But how could it mean something in Overwatch League? If you think, oh, first fight doesn't mean anything, you know that's pretty bad. Okay, so what was the problem here that you missed out? You didn't scout.
The Doom. We didn't
The
scout
Doom.
the comp. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't scout the comp properly. You scouted some of the comp, but whose job was it to scout that Doom?
It would have been the Echo because she's the only one that can see
Yep,
over those.
it's the Echo. It's the Echo. Is Echo part of your team or?
Yeah, he is.
Okay. Look, do you see? Do you see? Echo
Yeah,
could have easily seen the Doom. I know, right? Don't get me wrong. This is really hard to know. If has any of you ever played Doom? What's it called? Parkour, like in custom games.
No, I haven't.
Basically, if you go play Doom Parkour, it's on Eichenwalde, right? And this is exactly this is the final level. The final level is doing what he just did here. This is Doom but even harder because Doom Parkour is going all the way here. You have to go down here, and before you hit the ground, you have to get over to like the top of this roof, right? So you have to like slide on this. Anyway, the point is, right? This is a very, very, very common Doom spot, right? If you play Eichenwalde and there's a chance that there's a Doom, or you know that you see them playing Rush, and obviously what Doom is dive Rush, right? But you see him more on Rush, especially in the current meta. So if you see them playing Rush, you have to expect the Doom. Where do Dooms come from? A lot of the time they come from the second point, which is always up here, and they can either come from mid there, they can either come over here, or they do what this guy did and go over there, right? They always come from somewhere really, really high up, as high as possible, and this is the highest possible point on the entire map, right? So they always try and come from this area here. I've seen other ones where like Dooms play here and they punch, slide on this roof, and then like land down here. That's another one that can be possible. But yeah, just look out for it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because this Doom did that, your Zen just exploded and completely died. But also, what did you do that also meant that, you know, you couldn't save your Zen, right? You used the bubble for the ball. Basically, you have to try and listen as well for the Doom. I think if you don't know they have a Doom,
I did hear him, but it was like too late. I heard the grunting was like, yeah, I think we all heard he was like Doomfist coming in, but I already used the bubble on
exactly. Well, this is the problem. So the problem all stems for you already using the bubble. But if you do hear the Doomfist noise or the grunt or stuff like that, what should you do?
I mean, I could try maybe keep myself bubble. If I use the friendly bubble already.
No, if you haven't used the friendly, because let's say we know how to play this comp now.
The Zen behind me or the Ana, whoever.
Yeah, but are you gonna turn around and just instantly bubble him as soon as you hear the sound?
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until he punches up,
Uppercut, you mean?
yeah. That's if he's like, if as soon as he like drops on the ground, he's gonna punch up and he's gonna shoot. So I'm always trying to
Oh.
wait for that
Yeah,
and then bubble
but
because then he shoots.
but what I would say is if you're really, really good and you expect this happening, when's the best time to bubble?
When he hits the ground on him.
But yeah, before the
Just
E
before
lands. The E does
Yeah.
the most damage. If you bubble the E, it absorbs the most damage, right? So you absorb the whole E, right? And then it's just uppercuts and bullets, right? And that gives you some time to kill him, because if you watch the replay, if you watch this when it actually comes in, look how low you pretty much kill the Doom, and this is with your Zen dying. Now imagine if you bubbled the Zen and you killed the Doom before your Zen died, you'd be up, right? Okay, oh wait, hold on. Okay, you can't see it, but yeah, look, see, you kill him, right? If you had like a millisecond more with like the bubble, like you heard the Doom flying in, and you're like, oh shit, they have Doom. Your first reaction when hearing a Doom should be to do what? Turn around to your team.
Yeah, turn around.
Turn
or,
around.
Like, look
First
out where
reaction from hearing Doom is turn around, because who's the Doom going to go after on your team?
backline always.
Always the Zen. Not even a backline, just the Zen. If he goes on Brig, Brig just shields him and stuns him, right? He might be able to kill Brig, but Brig has way better defense, right? If he goes on you, you just self-bubble yourself. Again, that's another thing. Don't just randomly self-bubble yourself. Always save it if they're against the Doom, right? If you're against the Doom. Or you can save it to block a hack from Sombra. Okay, you can save it for that as well. It's kind of a waste, but
if the Doomfist is like going for, because for some reason he's deciding to go for one of the tanks, should I bubble them too, or should I keep the bubble for his next approach that maybe not be on my?
Oh, okay. How long's cooldown of friendly bubble? Do you know exactly?
8 sec? No, more.
I think it's 9. Actually, good point.
Yeah, it's
What's
9.
the exact number? Is it 9?
I think it's 9. It's between 8 and 10. I'm not complete. I think the self bubble is 8 and the friendly bubble is 10.
No, it's 10 and 8. It's 10 and 8. It's 10 and 8. Yeah, it's 10 and 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Basically 8 seconds, right? Do you think Doom will come back in 8 seconds?
It depends
if he
on how much
survives or
damage.
does something else.
It depends on how much damage he took, I guess. If he's low, he's gonna recharge, but if he...
No, he has cooldowns. He has cooldowns, right? I know his cooldowns are like 5 seconds and he might come back in straight away, but he also needs time to get healing, right? By the time he sets up again, bear in mind, right? How long does it take for Doom to set up to another, like, actual good position for a good dive? Ages, right? Unless he just comes from main and he just punches in as soon as he's got cooldowns again and comes in immediately. I'm going to say 99% of the time, you're going to have your friendly bubble back up. Because remember, the first time you use the friendly bubble to protect your Zen, Doom is not going to be dead. He's still going to be in the fight. And then he's going to punch out. Do you know what Doom's punch cooldown is?
It's like 4 seconds, I want to say.
Which one is the punch?
The one he's just used. The one he's just used. Look at all his cooldowns. So you got the punch, 4 seconds. What's the E? What's the E?
It's also 5 seconds, I think.
6, I think.
6, very good. And the uppercut, 6. Right. Basically, what does Doom need in order to go in? What moves does he need ready?
All 3.
All of them. 100%. All of them, right? Now, if you... All those cooldowns, right? The difference between all those cooldowns in your bubble is literally, right? Is literally 2 seconds. But you bubble before the move's cooldowns, like the uppercut comes off, right? So all I'm trying to say is you can bubble with every Doom engagement. Doomfists cannot engage you within the 1 second window where you don't have bubble. The chance of that happening, and you cannot coordinate that. It's 1 second, right? It's impossible to coordinate that quickly, right?
Okay.
As long as you're preemptively bubbling, not preemptively, but like bubbling the Doomfist like uppercut or bubbling before the move like goes on cooldown, you're gonna have time for bubble every.
I would love it if there would be like a workshop to practice this, like playing Sari
Practice
and
what? Practice what?
Coming in. Yeah, like the because I rarely play against Doomfist because no one plays Doomfist because they think he's
right.
dead.
But you don't need to practice anything against him. What do you need to just do?
Yeah, just when
Tell me your like order of stuff to do. I don't know why my Overwatch crashed.
I kind of have to hear out from him and then expect him to go for the backline and then.
That's it.
Like,
well, no, but it's not.
Have the timing right because, as you say, like the punch down does the most damage. If I don't know where he's coming from.
Right. But wait. I said in a perfect world, the punch down you try and bubble that. You can only do that if you see him in the air and he hasn't landed yet. If you don't see where he is and you don't know where he is, right? All you have to do is just land a bubble on your Zen as you see him, like as the thing lands, right? Does that kind of make sense, right? Even one bubble is enough, like, absorb damage to save your Zen's life, right? And I know once you play against certain Doomfists and once you know the areas they go in, you can actually see him coming in. And when you see him coming in, you can get that perfect bubble and then you can protect the initial E damage. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is it's not... the only difficult part is knowing where he's coming from. The actual bubble is easy. All you have to do is turn around and look for your Zen. That's it. And when you find your Zen, you just get ready to press E on him and then press E. That's it. Right? There's nothing more to it. All you have to do is turn around and look at your Zen. There's literally nothing more to that. Okay? As soon as you hear the Doomfist coming in and you hear his like grunting or you hear the grunting getting closer or anything like that, you're just turning around and looking at the Zen. What else would you be doing? Right? Do you see what I mean? The only other thing you would be doing is looking at the enemy team and just like lasering them or right clicking them. It's pointless, right? You don't need to do that in this comp, right? It's like doing that is no damage. Honestly, if you really want to, you could honestly just stand back and just look, like just stand back, don't damage the enemies at all, stand behind your Zen, right? So you can see him and you can see things like flying onto him, right? So you're actually backlining behind your Zen. Does that kind of make sense, right? And that will work against against a rush comp like this, because a rush comp, right, doesn't have any long range damage. So Zen doesn't need a shield. Zen doesn't need a body block. Don't frontline, backline further as Zarya, so you actually see damage coming in and you're ready to bubble that Zen, right? Especially when you get to Doom.
In case it's showing something on the stream died for me.
Oh,
It's
I
fine
don't know why.
for me.
Yeah, just so you know. I don't know. I get the infinite loading symbol on Discord. I tried.
Try and restart it. Yeah, my Overwatch crashed, but GPU crashed. But anyway. Okay, so can you see it now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, why not have your Zen and Brig there, have the Brig protect the Zen, and you stand behind them all in this comp against this comp? Do you see what I mean? Try that.
Okay.
Does that sound better? And what that means is, remember, as Zarya, right? Your job isn't to stand in front and tank damage. That's not your job anymore. You're not Sigma, okay? Right? If you want to stand behind, fine. Yes, it means you're not going to be able to laser the people that are getting dived, but also technically your job isn't to dive. Your job is to just bubble people that dive. And when do you start to push up? When would be the best time to push up?
When we got a pick and we're setting up for another dive?
Not even. No, when you have energy. When you get energy from your bubbles and you've used like 3 bubbles, let's say total,
how
one
much
on
energy?
your like...
What are we like one bubble energy, like the 40, or should I get
No, 2 bubbles. So like, I'd say 80 or 75 or 70 minimum, right? It'll probably be 70 by the time you use the other one. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay, I mean, bear in mind you also have a self bubble, but you can save that. I'd say, okay, maybe even make it even lower. Maybe even have it like 60. All I'm trying to say is after 2 like friendly bubbles, right, if they both like fully absorbed, you'll have the 70, 60 energy, whatever. You can start to push up and help kind of laser the enemy tanks. But before that, right, you aren't supposed to be even hitting the enemies. You don't do anything, right? Zarya with no energy, like, might as well just be spitting on them, right? It doesn't do anything. It's useless, okay? And the whole point is, you're not a Sigma. You're not there to shield your backline from the enemy frontline. You're not there to kind of like deal this consistent damage or anything like that. You're there as basically a bubble bot. So you don't have to worry about how you're playing or if you're doing anything wrong or anything like that. Just think of yourself as just there to use the bubbles and either to engage with your ball if the enemy doesn't have the divers, no divers on the enemy team, or if the enemy have divers like, you know, Doomfist, Tracer, Genji, you're literally behind your Zenyatta and just waiting until someone tries to go on him and then you bubble him, right? Does that make sense?
Mm.
Now, let's say in a scenario where you're against like, I don't know. Well, even in this scenario, like you're against Sombra and Tracer, right? Or let's say you're against Sombra and Genji and they both are playing with the enemy team. What would you do then? Would you stay behind the Zen or would you kind of push up and play like the Sigma style?
If they're placing like Tracer...
If they're playing with their team, with the like Reinhardt, the Sombra Genji or something.
I could push up a bit, but like we don't have to stay that much back because... Maybe it depends if I know, like, when they have Tracer. If I know the Tracer's, like, coming from behind or something, I could also be behind them.
So, right. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, how do you know if the people are playing with the team? How do you know that they're doing that? That's their gameplay.
When someone's scouted or if I see them?
No, you just see them with the team. That's it. It's simple as that. You just see them with the team, right? If you see them with the team, they're playing with the team. So what you do is you just push up, you play like normal, and if the Genji literally like runs off, or he dashes through you, you turn around and bubble your Zen. Simple as that. But you can play in front, right? If they're missing a character and you don't know where the Tracer is, you don't know where the Doomfist is, or anything like that, right? I think mainly Doomfist is the only real one you got to worry for. I mean, maybe Sombra as well. Let's say the Sombra was hit on. I know Sombra can't really kill the Zen, so I don't think it's that important. But I think Doomfist is the main one. If you don't know where the enemy is and you scared your Zen's just going to get one hit and die instantly, play behind your Zen. It means you're only able to right-click the enemy. You can't like laser, but it doesn't matter. You're there to literally bubble to keep your backline alive so Zen can get that consistent damage. Zen does more damage than you, right? Zen does legit more damage than you. Let him deal the damage and just keep him alive. If he dies, right, you've now lost that damage and now you do less damage than Zen. Obviously, unless you have like loads of energy, but at the start, Zen does less damage than you, so you don't have to be lasering the enemy team and like running in there and like dealing damage. You just play far back, keep your team alive with like bubbles. Maybe, as I said, go in front of them to like body block some bullets with your own bubble, right? If the enemies aren't divers. But by default, if the enemies aren't divers or they're all playing together as a team, right? They're all together, you've scouted, they're all together, or they're not playing any dive characters, they're playing like soldier or something like that, you can play in front of your supports. If they're playing divers and you don't know where they are and you're worried, just play behind your Zen. You're not going to lose out on much. You not being there for like laser damage doesn't do anything. It's pointless, right? Laser damage on 0 energy, as I said, is literally pointless. It's wasting ammo, right? You can right click from a distance if you really want to. Even that is kind of weak with no energy, right? It's better to you just stand back and protect your backline like Zen if the enemies have divers. Yeah?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
Yes.
try that. That's your 2 positions. You have position 1, which is in the back line, and position 2. So again, position 1, when would you hold here? Behind the Zen and the Brig.
If they have like divers, like a Doomfist,
And you're
or
worried
something
where they
over
are.
them.
And you
Yeah,
don't know
and
where they are, or you haven't scouted. Here's another one. If you haven't scouted their whole team, so you press tab and you can't see what the enemies are, right? Play behind by default, right? As soon as you press tab and you see their whole team and you see they don't have divers, you can play in front again. Yeah? And what about 2 then?
2 if I know the whole team is all together, and I don't really have to watch out for the backline because I know nothing's gonna go for it. And if they're gonna go for it, I know that they're gonna go for it and stuff.
Yep, that's it. Bear in mind, right? Zarya, like in this meta, is really easy to play. Way easier than like the Rhine Zarya, like mirror match. If it's Zarya with just the ball and Zen, those are literally like the only 2 people you bubble the most, right? It's so much easier than playing Zarya with the Rhine. Because Zarya with the Rhine, you have to bubble like literally like in between Reinhardt swings, right? It's very difficult. But this is easy, right? It's just literally you're bubbling 2 people and you know exactly when to bubble them, right? And you're either playing behind and just like as a protective thing, or you're pushing up and just like lasering and being a body block. That's it. Yeah? So there's nothing to worry about. It's really easy to play Zarya like this. Okay? So that's the first thing. I mean, does that kind of make sense now? With that? Let me speed it up again. Anyway, so let's go to the Zendai. Doomfist dies. Fine. What if the Doomfist dies? What's going to happen? Sorry, not the Doomfist. If the Zen dies or they get a kill, what's going to happen? What are they doing right now? Yeah, they're going to engage, right? And they're going to engage because they have Lucio and you don't, right? So their engage is a lot more effective, a lot easier. You get hacked here. You guys probably die. Let's see. I mean, if they fail the engage, you don't. But yeah, see, you guys died there. It's expected. You're expected to die there because they have a Lucio. You don't, right? So if they push into you, you're never going to be able to run away. But you got a trade on the Reinhardt. This is amazing, right? It means next fight you go into, they don't have a Reinhardt anymore. Okay? So play calm, wait for them to run back, go back in, rinse and repeat. But this time they don't have a Reinhardt. So you can go in even quicker now. Where's the Doomfist going to come from then? Let's watch you again. Where's the Doomfist?
He's on the castle again.
He's just going to do it every time, right? This is how you work out player psychology, right? If a player does something and it works, what are they going to do next time?
Do it again.
They're just going to do the same thing, right? If they do something and it doesn't work and they die, what are they going to do next time?
Change.
Yep, they're going to do something different. This applies every time to everything in the world, right? Every single thing in the world is that applies to, right? If something works, you do the same thing. If it doesn't, you like you don't do the same thing. Now, how you kind of exploit that is if you're against that person, right? You're against the person, which is, Overwatch, right? It's enemies v enemies. You basically know that they're going to do that same thing again, and then you expect it, right? The real good players will do player psychology and kind of like counter the counter, so that they will think that you're going to expect them to do it again because it works, but they're going to do something different, right? And then at that point, it's all down to mind games. As soon as you get to that level, it's down to mind games, because at that point, do you expect them to do something different even though they did it right because you know they're that good? Then you expect them to come from it. You see, it just goes around in an endless loop. But the point is, the moment you get to like 3 stages of or degrees of separation, that's it. It gets too confusing after that. So just stick to he's either going to do one thing or he's going to change. That's it. Stick to that. It's how to keep it simple. And basically you change what you think the enemy is going to do depending on what they've done, right? So if this Doomfist does something and it works, and then he's so good, he actually decides to do something different, right? Because he's going for the mind games, right? And then he comes in and it's something different, right? At that point, you just have to be very, very scared and realize he's probably going to do something different every time, right? But that's how you kind of outplay the enemies. If you do something different every time, even if it works, it shows you're insane at the game because you can do different stuff and make them all work. And it completely confuses the enemy because they can't expect the same thing twice ever. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You see what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So a good example for you, like Chemist, what would that be? Let's say you did a dive and you came from main and you slammed and you killed the enemy team. What are the enemy team going to expect you to do?
Expect me to come from main again, so I would come from a different angle.
Yeah, what if you mind games them and you're like, well, main worked, so I'm going to come from a different angle, and they won't expect that, right? If you can come from a different angle and kill them all again, it shows that you're so good at the game, you can come from any angle and kill them. At that point, that basically it scares them into thinking, you're very fucking good at the game. And also, they're going to basically be almost constantly worried about where you're coming from. Does that make sense? They have to then use other methods to scout you, right? Or put more resources into thinking where you are, or put more attention into trying to figure out where you are. Does that make sense? And that's kind of how you trick opponents and kind of beat worse opponents. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, where's Doomfist going to come from? You see where he's come from. What's the problem right here, even? You're against the Doomfist. Where are you holding?
Yeah, I'm in front of them now.
Yep. Don't do that. But it's just going to be the same thing. But. Look where the enemies are holding. What does this mean? Where's the Doomfist going to try and attack you? Doomfist always goes in.
The choke.
Sorry.
Go and attack us in the.
Yeah.
Wait, in the same place he's coming from.
Doomfist is always going to standstill zone. So before, the standstill zone was here, so he's going to land here. If the standstill zone is here, where's he going to land? When I say the standstill zone, it's the choke. Yeah, so it's going to be here. That's where he's going to land, right? So if the enemies are letting you push up, that means the Doomfist is going to basically land there. Again, I haven't seen this replay. I bet you, what's he going to do?
Landed
like that.
Go over
right?
that and land there.
This is my guess. Again, I don't know what this Doomfist is going to do. This is just a guess. Right, let's watch. But if you guys go to the left, this side, it's even better for you guys. But can he still reach you guys with an E doing that?
Yeah.
If you're on that side. It's harder, but yes. If he fully charges it, he can bounce off the top, glide around, and then do a quick E down. It's very, very hard. And, well, it's not very hard, but it's harder. But it's still possible for him to do. You just have to kind of expect that. Let's see which side you guys go. Oh, I was right, by the way. Did you see him? Did you see him try and do it and
He
fail?
hit the wall.
Yep, he hit the wall. But it's exactly what I was going to say, right? It's exactly what I said. So he's waiting because he knows the team's going. So he went this way this time and he hit the wall. Unlucky. If he didn't hit the wall, you guys would have been dead, right? Only because, well, I say you would have been dead. He probably went in a bit too early anyway. That's maybe why he hit the wall. He probably wanted to stop and maybe panicked, or maybe it was just a misplay overall. But yeah, if he waited until even you were here, he would have gone in. Zen would have been dead. Death, right? Instead, you stand behind and you just spam them out, right? You let Zen spam them out and you wait for the dive from Chemist. Chemist, you've got the kind of the idea, right? Where you basically come from the side and distract them, try and split them up with a roll, do fake dives, or dive in and, remember, do the sustain dive that I was talking about, right?
Yeah.
So what does fake diving allow you to do? So this is now Chemist kind of area. What does fake diving allow your Zarya to do, or allow you to do against the Doom?
It kind of baits the Doom into coming
Into
in
diving.
too early.
Exactly. Perfect. That's perfect, right? I'm glad you know that. So if it baits the Zoom into coming in too early, because you've done a fake dive, Zarya doesn't bubble you because you're not actually going in, right?
Yeah.
So the Doom comes in early and she has a bubble for the Zen. She's standing behind the Zen. You kill the Doom, and then what do you do after that, Chemist?
I can engage.
You do a real
them.
dive after the 8 seconds. You get a new bubble back up. I mean, you don't even have to wait for the bubble, right, to go in. Why is it you have to wait here though? Because you're
Sombra.
right. No, but what I'm trying to say is, right, you can dive in without a bubble. Why do you have to do a fake dive? Because the point is you're trying to kill the Doom. If you do a full dive immediately, right, Zarya needs to kind of be there to help you, or your team's not going to be focusing, and then the Doom comes in and kills you all. If you do the fake dive and you kill the Doom, your team is no longer worrying about where the Doom is, and they can fully help you on the dive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sombra, as I said, ignore her. I know she's going to try and hack you, but this is down to your own mechanical skill to not get hacked by Sombra. And this includes basically either doing the bait dive that I said before, or coming out of ball form and just shooting her once to kind of like stop the dive, right? Or another thing you guys can try between you and Tracer, right, is to try and kind of force her to pay attention to one of you guys, and then the other person dives in, right? So try and get her to like focus on the Tracer. So maybe Tracer Ed start shooting her, and then she'll turn around and try and hack Ed, right? And while she's doing that, you roll in, right? Do you see what I mean? I know this is all like really super micro stuff, and you guys kind of like timing this perfectly in a game is like Overwatch League level. Like it sounds really easy when I'm like explaining it, but obviously in game it's like all happens in the space of like 5 seconds, and it's like ridiculously hard. The point is, any Overwatch League player, what they've done is they've practiced it so many times that they're used to it, and they know, and they can get the timings right, so it becomes a lot easier for them. But yeah, I'm not expecting you to be able to do this straight away, to do like the bait play with your Tracer, but like true Overwatch League level players would be able to, like, the ball and the Tracer would be literally like linked with their brain. So it's literally like you think, right, Tracer, distract them, and she'll do it immediately, like without even saying it. Like that's how insane the level is, right? It's almost like you're controlling both characters at once with your brain. Like that's how insane kind of like the coordination is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you can both get on the same level and practice something that works, you'll be able to do the same thing as well. But the reason I paused here first is, can you notice a character that should be a dive target for you guys?
Is that the Zarya all the way on the left?
Yep. What is she doing? Tell me right now, right? So obviously when I coach you guys, I kind of like coach you in a perfect scenario where the enemies are playing perfectly, right? No mistakes from them, okay? Obviously there are always some mistakes, but this is a great example of something you can't predict because it's a massive mistake from the Zarya. You need to be able to adapt to it mid-game, okay? So if you saw the Zarya here, what would be your first reaction?
Go on her.
Yep, that's it, right? It's as simple as that. It's not hard to kind of like actually commit onto enemy mistakes, but it's kind of like hard to always spot them and know if it's a mistake. What I would say, Chemist, for you, have the confidence to call it out even if you're not sure if it's right. The best teams have confidence to just call something out and commit to it. Doesn't matter if it's right, doesn't matter if it's just stupidly, horrendously wrong, right? Yes, like someone might say, okay, oh yeah. Well, okay, let me tell you now, right? If someone in game like says, what are you doing, Chemist? Like that was a stupid call or something like that, kick him from the team, right? You can't have people saying that. That is ridiculous. That person should be kicked from the team immediately, right? The point is, you try everything. It's scrims, right? You try everything once, even if it sounds insane. I mean, you've seen Overwatch League like teams do the most insane rotations ever that literally they rotate for like a minute straight and then they like win the fight, right? They're doing that in like actual tournament matches at Overwatch League level, right? This is a scrim, right? Where you're just kind of practicing doing whatever you want. If you see something, go for it. If it works, you've now practiced something and you're more confident with it, and you're like, okay, it's easier than I thought, right? If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. You can get coached with it, and I could say, oh, well, maybe don't do that next time or something like that. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, I don't care that you've done it wrong if you've tried it. The best thing to do is just commit to it. Just try it. Like, imagine, right? I want you to kind of like close your eyes and imagine this is you, Chemist, right now. You're in the middle of a game and I've like paused the game. It's like the game is paused, right? You're here. And I've said, oh, Chemist, by the way, it's Zarya behind you. What would you do? What would you say to your team? Or what would you do in the middle of this grapple?
I just 180 and swing the other way. Bounce off of the
so you
turret
could
that's there
180
power
like
drive.
bounce off of this wall and then like come back around and like boop into her and then power drive down, like roll off the edge, power drive her down and then have your whole team dive on her. What would you be calling out?
I'd say Zarya position go, or Zarya
Zarya on the left. Zarya on the left. Zarya on the
Zarya
left.
left go. Yeah.
So I know I'm not like a main tank, but when I called out stuff as like the Lucio, I would always say it in my teammates' perspective. I wouldn't care what I'm looking at. I would say it as if my teammates were looking at it. So if I was in front of my teammates and there was someone on my right, I would say Zarya on your left, guys. Zarya on your left, like that, because they'd know.
Yeah, that's what I
turn
do.
left. It's good. If you, some people are good at that, some people aren't. But if you're good at that and you can do that, is even more useful for your team because they can hear it and instantly react to it instead of trying to work out which side it is or looking the wrong side, whatever, right? Obviously, as I said, if you know all the Overwatch callouts like perfectly, you can just be like, oh, Zarya at broken ship or something like that, right? Where she is right now. I don't know the callouts. Most people don't know the callouts because for some reason in Overwatch, callouts are just not important, right? Not for some reason. There is a... But I mean, it's funny because when the game first came out and I first used Scream in like 2017, literally, I would want my whole team to learn callouts, and there were some callouts and stuff, and people actually just ignored them. Even pro teams were like, we don't even need the callouts, just ignore it. There were some callouts, but people just didn't bother like at all because it just wasn't as important as like. But I'd come from like CS:GO where it was like callouts are like essential. In Overwatch, doesn't mean that much. As long as you say like left, it's kind of good enough. Obviously, if a whole team knows every single call out perfectly, it would actually be so much more useful for the team. I just don't think teams stay long enough or like have the brain capacity or I don't know to learn them all. And they just aren't. They just don't exist sometimes. And there's different names for everything.
I think the reason that it's much more important and doable in CS:GO is because
I was about to say why.
There's like you in CS:GO there's not so much resources and map. Well, there is map control, but it's like it's
course,
much, it's
there's
more
not
just like more mechanical. Just know the positions. Whereas Overwatch, there's active this resource, this ult, this just all this.
Yeah,
going
there's too much to think about in Overwatch, whereas in CS:GO it's simpler. But another reason as well in CS:GO is because they give you the map callouts. There's the map callout name on your screen, so the callouts are kind of universal. Overwatch doesn't have that, so if one person has a specific callout, it might be different to someone else. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
like whereas.
Like it was in I played with Team Fortress before. Like everything had a specific name. It was not just like
That is,
right,
I know Team Fortress is odd because Team Fortress didn't have like official callouts like CS:GO
but it
did.
was like in the community, like people knew
exactly
what this shit was called.
Yeah, and it is odd. But again, Team Fortress 2 is. I know Team Fortress 2 is basically Overwatch, obviously.
But
I mean, I played Team Fortress 2 for 1,000 hours as well. But obviously, I think the difference with Team Fortress 2, as Chemist said, is again there wasn't as much to think about because there still weren't any abilities. I know each weapon technically was a different ability, but it was simpler at the end of the day, right? More confusing than CS:GO, but still simpler at the end of the day. But yeah. Anyway,
I want to see what happens. Zarya on the left or Zarya on coast side.
Yeah, that's fine. I simply just go left, right, top, right, bottom left, bottom right. That's my callouts. That's it. Or mid. That's literally it. It doesn't get more confusing than that. But anyway, let's watch this dive here. Oh, hold on.
I think I just roll through because I know that I can't really hard engage because I still think the Doom's on his way in.
It's good. Honestly, you're doing this really, really well, right? That's not the reason, though. The reason you can't hard engage, what did I say earlier? Because if you do, the Sombra's going to hack you. So you roll through, you get hacked by the Sombra, which is exactly what I was expecting, right? But because you're far enough away, you can survive this. The problem is, Doom has just failed his punch, so he's now like right around this corner. It's like kind of unfortunate, right? But
my idea was to play around the Doom coming in, but his fuck up kind of just...
honestly, this is what I said earlier, right? If people do things that you don't expect, it's kind of like you're expecting them to do something good and they do something so bad that you don't expect and you're like, wait, what's going on? Like it kind of takes you by surprise. The skill in the game though is expecting every possible scenario, right?
Yeah.
And being able to quickly being like, okay, the Doom is right here, and then you tell your team, okay, Doom's failed his punch, and as he's like punching, you kind of like strafe him around this door, and then you go like back around and like roll into them again, or something like that, right? The skill is kind of adapting on the go, okay, and knowing all the possible scenarios that can happen. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm glad you just did the roll through, because look what's happened. They all turn around. The Sombra hack is now wasted on you, and you're now the distraction, right? That's fine, right? That's absolutely fine. And while this is happening, you know, Tracer can like commit, Echo can try and go for the dive, or again, you guys are looking to kill. Who are you guys looking to kill out of the team?
The Baptiste.
Yeah, the Baptiste or the Zarya, right? Either one, whichever one's called out. Or if the Doom comes in, you go on the Doom. Because at the end of the day, Doom with no moves is like a free kill. Does that kind of make sense? Or here's another thing you guys can try and do, right? You can try and push them back far enough that you just cap the point. At the end of the day, their final kind of like backing spot is the point. But if you guys play so chaotic and split up and just split their attention, they get so scared that they just continually back up until they go inside. And once they're inside, they've just given the point to you. That's how you win these kind of engagements without anyone dying, right? You just kind of like scare them and push them back far enough that they literally just give you the point and no one's died. Yeah. Does that make sense? Which is kind of what's happening now, but let's watch. But eventually if yeah, the mistake here was, I guess you kind of went in this and you ended up outside. You're now dead, right? Because you've ended up outside.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're dead anyway. Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, that's kind of like, I guess, a mistake on your part for staying too long outside. The moment you get hacked, don't fight. Don't fight the moment you're hacked. Just run away, right? And get them to chase after you. Run away. And then you set up into the new roll zone. And the new roll zone will be up here. And then you roll and do another dive onto them like that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? The point is, do you know the hack cooldown on Sombra?
I want to say 3 seconds. The
What?
hack cooldown. Wait, when it gets
No.
cancelled, it's 3, isn't it?
No,
It's
when
cancelled.
he actually hacks you.
When
'cause
she
he hacked
hacks,
you.
I don't know. When she hacks, I don't know.
7? Is it 7?
I think it's longer
6?
than that. Okay, it's 8. It's 8. Even longer than 8. It's probably 8.5, because if it says 8 and there's a little bar there, it means it's longer. So it's probably 8.5 or something like that. Might even be 9, you know? Let's see. No, it's 8 seconds. Okay, fine. Again, might be longer, but 8 seconds. So that's long enough, right? That if you get... the problem I have with hack, right, is when you hack someone, it's like on cooldown already, even if the hack is successful. I hate that about Sombra, because it means she can literally, when the hack ends, she's ready to hack someone else, pretty much, right? This is what I don't agree with, because look, the hack ends when you die, right? The hack ends when you die, and it's 3-second cooldown, basically. So technically, what you were saying technically is correct, right? And once the hack is gone, like, it's on a 3-second cooldown. She's ready to hack someone in 3 seconds, okay? So it is kind of like scary for you, right? And this is why Sombra counters like you and Tracer like really, really hard, right? But this is why you kind of, as I said, don't just be scared of her. Just expect her to hack you and like ignore her, right? If you dive in, right, and you get a kill, but one of you like dies because you got hacked, that's fine, right? Again, how do you counter a hack after the dive?
I can try to bubble it if I have it.
So you can bubble it, but what about you, Chemist? How do you counter her trying to hack you?
I can shoot to try and cancel it.
Exactly. So when you dive in, right, if she hasn't ready with a hack and you've got time to pull out your guns, shoot her to try and cancel it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can shoot the person you're diving as well, right? The BAP or the Zarya, but shoot her as well, guaranteed, if she's in with the team. If she's not with the team, right, and she's trying to flank you and find out where you are, what do? You just ignore her. You get her to chase you across the map, and then you dive in before she even has time to like get back and protect her team. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if she's running around playing like a nuisance backliner, trying to find people to hack, ignore her and waste her time. I mean, you can try and scout her on the way if you want to by rolling into her. That's a way to scout Sombras really well, by the way. It's roll into them. But if not, what's another way you can kind of get Sombra to not be in the fight? Force out her
Translocator.
Yep,
force out her translocate. So if you can force her out, so maybe if you're rolling and she's trying to flank you, roll into her and just take the 1v1 fight. If you're by yourselves, right? If there's anyone else nearby, run, right? You're gonna die. If you're by yourselves, force out her translocator, and as soon as it's forced out, what do?
Engage.
Yeah, engage, dive as fast as you can. It takes Sombra like, again, it's probably the same as Doom. It takes Sombra like 6 seconds to like put a new translocator down, heal up, and then actually get back into position like with invisibility. So you've got plenty of time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, our hour's up already. I didn't
Yeah,
even say.
yeah.
Did you have any questions quickly
I
about this?
What? Okay, like in
Um,
a scrim, should we still try and use this comp against their brawl, even though they kinda
Yeah, they
counter
do
us?
hard counter. So remember, it's a scrim, right? So a scrim is there for practice. Just commit with the comp, right? You don't have to do these crazy swaps, right? That's not the point of a scrim, okay? I know I said, it's hard counter, but the reason is if it was a tournament, you can just swap. If it's a scrim, you can practice this comp once, practice another comp once. So you have you're good at the counter comp, right? If the worst comes to worst, but you're also good at countering them or mirroring them. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely, it's a scrim, so it's practice, so you can try both. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Also, one way for Zen to be protected against Doomfist is do what he's doing, right? Just play inside. Doomfist can't really dive you if he's inside, but he can punch him, which is why the bubble is still required. So you still need to save the bubble for him. You just have to always know where your Zen is, and unless Doomfist is dead, play kind of near him or behind him, and just bubble from a distance and right click from a distance. Okay. But yeah, at the moment everything's split up. You're going after the Sombra. We've got Tracer going after the Rhine with Brig. Chemist, you're dead. I don't know who else is there. Oh, Echo. Oh, I guess Echo's going after Rhine. I guess your targets here are basically Rhine. And I don't really like that because I said there's better targets. But if you're all on the same target, that's fine, right? It's okay. If it's at least if it's one of the tanks or the Baptiste or Doomfist or even Lucio, really. Okay.
I went for the Sombra here because she translocated next to me and I knew she couldn't get away.
Oh, okay. Do you end up killing her though? Let's watch.
Yep.
What's
and
your
she-
energy on?
I don't know. I'm not high energy. I'm
37.
pretty low.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I get that. Yeah, that
because
was a
I
good kill.
fought her.
Really good kill.
Yeah, doesn't she say in the chat what did you know after this?
She blamed me of wall hacking.
Wait, really? From sound?
Yeah, I heard her. I didn't see her. I just heard her. I heard her on my left headphone, and of course, I looked to the left, and I saw her going invisible, and so I just sprayed left and right until I found her.
Yeah, that's good. That's using sound to scout. That's really good. Yeah, that's the sort of stuff you need to be using against the Doomfist when you hear him coming in. You just hear it, and you just preemptively expect it to be on one of your supports, right?
But in Overwatch, I always have the feeling when they come above you, it's harder to scout if they come above left or right. Maybe that's my headphones being shit, but I feel like if he's above me, it's kind of harder to get the immediate direction if he's coming above me, right?
Right. I do get that. But the point is, you don't need the immediate direction. The only thing you need to do is be looking at your Zen and then reacting to something coming on your screen, which is a Doomfist flying onto the Zen, right? That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to. The problem is, right, and this is what people do. People try to figure out where exactly it's coming from. This is stuff you do in replays and knowing by playing Doom, where you're like, okay, I know he comes from that and stuff like that. In the actual game, if you don't know, or you're like, oh, okay, I don't know where he's coming from, you don't look and try and find where he's coming from. Don't try and work it out. You just figure out on actually doing your job, which is bubbling the Zen, and then you ask someone on your team, where did he come from? And then Chemist would know, right? Chemist would be like, oh, I heard him at the castle, or I saw him at the castle, right? And you just ask, and you're like, okay, and then you look out for the castle next time. Again, if you hear him and you look in the castle direction and you don't see anything, right? Plan B is always literally just look at your Zen and wait until something flies onto him, right? And then you bubble. The best part, the reason why Azaria is easy here, or it's simple, is because the only person that's really ever going to get dived on your team is your Zen. Literally ever. It would literally only be your Zen. If they try and dive Brig has, as I said, chance to survive. And if he dives you can bubble yourself. Right? So it's fine. But you don't have to see where. You could be looking at the floor and bubble yourself. You don't need to do anything. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? So the only person you need to worry about is Zen.
Yeah, because Doomfist is the one hero I have literally zero knowledge about because I have no hours on him.
Yeah,
I know
I
know nothing about the parkour shit they are doing.
So what I would recommend. So the best way I kind of learned how to counter every character is I played every character once, right? Ever since the start of the game, I played every single character, right? Other methods to do that, if you don't want to play them, right, is to literally just look up a YouTube video or a replay of someone playing them or a stream.
I watched every CarQ video and stuff, but it's still different than
not like a CarQ video. You need to watch a live game, an actual whole game, right? Because the difference between the whole game is you can actually see their timings. You can feel how long it takes for them to go in, get out, wait, go back in. You see the directions they're coming from and the place they use. You see how long a dive takes. Whereas if you're just watching like a tip video, it doesn't mean anything, right? You just get one tip. It's not good enough, right? If you're better at actually self-improving, actual gameplay is infinitely better than just a small tip video that gives you one tip. From gameplay, you could get like 100 tips instantly, right? Just from actually knowing what you're looking at. Right? Does that make sense? And if you guys want, one of our coaching sessions could literally be like one-on-one where we go through a replay of a character that someone's struggling with, right? And then literally go through everything they do, all their timings, blah, blah, blah. But that's also something you guys could do solo. It's up to you, right?
Can someone recommend Doomfist player that is not Chipsa, because I don't want to watch
Chipsa.
I don't want to watch
No, it doesn't matter. You can just type it on YouTube and it will come up with loads.
Okay. Yeah, it's not like if I on it should be someone like not maybe in Plat or something, like actually someone.
No, of course,
GM
yeah.
or
Either go on Twitch in the Overwatch section and just look for someone who's playing Doomfist, or just type in like Doomfist, best Doomfist on YouTube and like watch a whole gameplay. The problem with like those highlight videos on YouTube is they kind of like cut out the boring parts, but the boring parts is what you need as well to kind of figure out timings and stuff like that, right?
Awesome.
But that's why Twitch streams are the best, because it's all live and you see them playing it live and stuff like that. Then as well, you can watch how the Zarya deals with him if there's a Zarya in the enemy team. And if the Zarya doesn't do anything, right, that's how you perform better. If the Zarya, if there was like a top 500 Doomfist playing against the Zarya and he's just killing everyone and the Zarya doesn't bubble, you look at that Zarya and you think, I could do that better. I could actually bubble and save my team. I'll do this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing on tank. Like I follow like Imong, Poco, and all the tank players, and just literally have their stream on every time on the second monitor, and just like
but don't watch it for entertainment. You have to kind of go in there watching to improve, so you're not like listening to anything he's saying, right?
No,
you're not like listening to you're not reading chat, you're just watching and analyzing the gameplay. It's like a different kind of like mode. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's what I'm doing. But I never
that's
did
good
it
that's good
because like it's Doomfist. I don't like Doomfist.
Yeah, but yeah, Doomfist might be an idea now, I guess. But anyway, any other questions, guys?
Not from me, no.
No,
All good?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, no problem. And I guess I'll see you later. And good luck with your like tournament and stuff this weekend. I guess you have.
Chipsa is live. Let's go. Let's watch Chipsa.
All right, thank you very much.
Wait, do you have like Meteor Pugs? You said on Saturday.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's just pick up games.
Okay, fine. Yeah, that'll be good as well.
Yeah, it's good practice.
And good to improve. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later. And any questions, DM me. Yeah.
All right, cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.